Imagine you just spent 2 hours assembling a crooked bookshelf. The screws don't line up, one shelf is visibly tilted. Your friend walks in and says, "That looks terrible." And without hesitation, you say, "Actually, I think it adds character." You don't really believe that, but also, you kind of do. Something inside you just decided that this wobbly disaster is actually fine, maybe even good, because you built it. And now you'll defend it like it's a family heirloom. Congratulations, your brain just lied to you. And the worst part? It does this all the time. This is cognitive dissonance, the uncomfortable tension you feel when your actions and your beliefs don't match. And your brain has a favorite way of dealing with it. Instead of changing what you do, it changes what you believe. So let's talk about where this was discovered, how deep it goes, what your brain actually does when it happens, and why it's so absurdly difficult to stop. 1. The psychologist who joined a cult. In 1954, a social psychologist named Leon Festinger read a newspaper story about a woman, we'll call her Mrs. Keach, who claimed aliens had told her the world would end in a great flood. She gathered a small group of true believers. They quit their jobs, they gave away their savings. They waited on her porch for a flying saucer to come rescue them. Festinger did something unusual. He didn't just study them from a distance. He and his colleagues infiltrated the group, pretending to be believers, taking secret notes. He wanted to see what would happen when the world very obviously did not end. December 21st came. No flood, no aliens, no flying saucer. And here's the part that changed psychology forever. The most devoted followers didn't lose faith. They doubled down. They called newspapers. They went on the radio. They said the aliens had been so moved by their devotion that they'd spared the earth. The failed prophecy made them more committed, not less. Festinger realized something profound. When reality clashes with a deeply held belief, the human brain doesn't always update the belief. Sometimes it rewrites reality instead. He published his theory of cognitive dissonance in 1957, and it became one of the most important ideas in the history of psychology. But Festinger needed something more controlled than a doomsday cult. So in 1959, he and James Carlsmith designed one of psychology's most elegant experiments. They brought Stanford students into a lab and made them do something excruciatingly boring for an hour, turning wooden pegs on a board 1/4 turn at a time, over and over, for 60 minutes. Then came the twist. The experimenter asked each student to lie to the next participant. Tell them it was fun. Tell them it was enjoyable. Half the students were paid $20 for this lie. The other half got just $1. Now here's where your intuition fails. You'd think the students paid more would say it was more fun, right? They got a bigger reward. But the opposite happened. The students paid $1 actually changed their minds about the task. They rated it as genuinely more enjoyable. The $20 group, they knew why they lied, for the money. Their conscience was clean. But the $1 group had a problem. They'd lied for basically nothing. And the only way their brain could make that okay was to decide it wasn't really a lie. Maybe the task actually was kind of interesting. Less money, more self-deception. Your brain would literally rather rewrite your memory of an experience than admit you did something for a bad reason. This isn't just a theory about attitudes and surveys. When scientists put people in brain scanners and induced cognitive dissonance, they found something striking. The anterior cingulate cortex, a region associated with detecting errors and conflict, lights up like an alarm. The anterior insula, which processes pain and disgust, fires alongside it. And the medial prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for your sense of self, kicks into gear to resolve the conflict. In other words, cognitive dissonance doesn't just feel uncomfortable. Your brain processes it the way it processes physical pain. The contradiction between what you believe and what you did registers as a kind of wound, and your brain rushes to close it, not by fixing the behavior, but by editing the belief. It's like your brain is a spin doctor that works for your ego, and it never takes a day off. Here's where it gets really humbling. In 2007, researchers gave capuchin monkeys a choice between two treats they liked equally, say a blue M&M and a red one. After the monkey chose the blue one, they offered it a new choice, the red M&M it had just rejected, or a brand new green one. Overwhelmingly, the monkeys avoided the red one. They devalued it just by not choosing it. Preschool children did the same thing with stickers. Choose one, and suddenly the other one isn't as good anymore. This means cognitive dissonance reduction isn't some sophisticated cultural trick. It's not something you learn from social media or advertising. It's baked into primate brains. It may be millions of years old. Your brain has been doing this since long before you had the language to notice. Once you see it, cognitive dissonance is everywhere. It's the reason hazing rituals work. The more painful the initiation, the more you convince yourself the group was worth joining. In a classic study, students who endured humiliating screening to enter a discussion group rated the group as fascinating, even though the discussion was designed to be as boring as humanly possible. Suffer more, believe more. That's the deal your brain cuts with itself. It's why Benjamin Franklin turned an enemy into a friend, not by doing him a favor, but by asking for one. His political rival lent him a rare book, and then, having done Franklin a kindness, the rival's brain couldn't square hating someone he'd just helped. So the hate softened into warmth. Your actions pull your beliefs behind them like a magnet dragging iron filings. And it's operating at massive scale. Cognitive dissonance is one of the key psychological engines behind climate change denial. Most people accept the science, but changing your lifestyle is hard. So instead of changing the behavior, the brain does what it always does. It edits the belief. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe the scientists are wrong. Maybe it's natural. The dissonance dissolves and nothing changes. Here's the cruel irony. Knowing about cognitive dissonance doesn't make you immune to it. You can read this entire script, nod along, recognize every example, and your brain will still do it tomorrow. You'll still defend the bad decision, the sunk cost, the relationship you should have left, the project you should have abandoned, because the machinery that rewrites your beliefs operates below conscious awareness. It's faster than your rational mind. It's older than language. But there is one small, imperfect defense. The moment something feels surprisingly easy to justify, that's the moment to get suspicious. When the explanation flows too smoothly, when the logic arrives pre-assembled, when you find yourself arguing for something you didn't believe 5 minutes ago, that's not insight. That's your inner spin doctor earning its keep. And the wobbly bookshelf you're defending, it really is crooked. It was always crooked. Your brain just decided that crooked was fine, because the alternative, admitting you wasted your afternoon, felt worse than living with a lie.